Well, it all started with my mom. She was new to Houston, exploring herself, was already a little bit of a hippie, couldn't understand why she was having these emotions, these feelings, couldn't get past the blocks that she was having. So she started studying astrology. And from there, she hooked up with two beautiful women that were astrologers here in Houston. They joined together, started a metaphysical center, and we called it Body, Mind, and Soul. About 3 years later, these lovely astrologers went off to do astrology on their own. It was Jeannie Long and Peggy Larson, very well-known astrologers back in the 80s and 90s, but they started their own business just doing astrology readings. My mom had a love of books and knowledge and teaching, so she continued with the store. About, I'd say 3 or 4 years later, I asked if I could be a buyer for the store. I didn't know what I was doing, and she was so sweet because she let me in. She said, okay, sure. It was quite a surprise for me. But from then on, the two of us were on a journey to build a fabulous retail store. That was our goal. It's always been our goal. We want to do the best to support our customers. So we started buying. I started buying the sidelines, the gifts, the crystals. She still is, and she still is to this day in charge of books. So she's in the background buying all our books and decks. We've had several locations. If you followed us through the years, our first location was a tiny little store. I mean, I'm serious. It could have been anyone's master closet now, maybe a little bit bigger, but it was a teeny tiny little bookstore. It was all books in the beginning because that was my mom's love. She loves books. She loves learning. She loves books. And then we had a big classroom. And back then in the day, we taught astrology. I remember we had a wonderful past life regression person that came in. It was Sandy Mack. She taught many classes with us. We did Silva Method, and it was mostly about learning, and the books were the support. Once I came along and said, let's start buying, we started expanding. So we expanded the gifts, we expanded the jewelry, the crystals, and then we just basically outgrew the place. I mean, really, we saw that was growing. Truthfully, if anyone remembers back in the day, if you're older like me, Shirley MacLaine had a movie that came out, Out on a Limb, and things just exploded. The funny thing was we were in LA right when that movie came out. We had no idea it was showing. We had like one person back in our little tiny store watching the store. Out on a Limb came out. We're in LA in the Bodhi Tree where they filmed it, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's packed. What's going on? We called our store a couple hours later, and they're like, we're packed. We don't know what's going on. It was the movie. I'd say that probably exploded us more than anything. Crystals, everyone got it. They were all interested in it. And I think Metaphysical just started growing from there. So we outgrew our space. We moved over to Mid Lane. We knew we needed something. There was a great little breakfast restaurant right there. Back in the day, it was called Oak and Bucket. It was very well known. Everyone went there for their big power breakfast. We were over there having lunch, looked over and saw this cute little center for lease sign, and we're like, this is where we should be. It was nestled in the trees. It's beautiful. It had a great atmosphere, and it was centrally located. So we moved into our first space on Mid Lane, right behind Romero's restaurant at the time. Loved that space. It was where we started expanding, and from that space, we started attracting national known authors. So this would be like in the 90s. So this is when Deepak Chopra was big. We've had Louise Hay, Deepak Chopra, Marianne Williamson. We've been very blessed to have some big authors. The publishers were touring. This whole metaphysical arena was just exploding. So we were having a great time. We expanded our gifts, we expanded our books, we expanded everything. We expanded our classes, had author events. We were doing really, really well. Then the landlord came to us and said, hey, I want to move you to the front of the center in a very prominent position. He paid to move us. We moved up, which is funny. We're kind of in the little back of the center, if anyone remembers. And we moved up to the front of the center, got a little bit bigger space, loved it there. We really felt quite at home. The only thing about that area was it was beautiful. It was centrally located, but we were hidden a little bit from people seeing us. We had always had great hairdressers around us, some great community. But, if anyone said anything, the parking might be a little bit better, and we were a little bit hidden. Then from there, our poor little center got sold, and it might have needed to be sold. It was on the older side, but somebody bought it. They sold the land. A big owner who owns a lot of property here in Houston came in and bought it, said, hey, you guys stay, we love you, we'll have this rebuilt in a year. Well, we kind of looked at him and thought, that's not going to happen. It's not going to be a year. So we're going to start looking. So we did. We started looking and really tried hard to stay inside the loop, centrally located, but there was nothing with parking, y'all. We looked forever. It was so much work to try to find anything we could afford that had decent parking. And then I said, okay, we're going to go outside the loop. We're going to be still centrally located, but we want to have a place with parking. So we expanded our perimeter and we found this space here on Katy Freeway, just really close to 610 I-10. It spoke to us. It had a nice feel. It was all a bunch of independent owners here. So we started out with one, basically the same size. Well, we said, okay, well, this is our size on mid-lane. We're going to take this size of space. We started out that way. A couple of years later, we had just exploded here, and we were, sometimes I don't even know how we fit in that space. I think about it, all the people that we had working here, and it was tight, y'all. Luckily, 2 spaces next to us became available. We took both of them, combined it, and now we have this one lovely large space. And maybe almost out of room already again, but we love it. And we're still a great center with a bunch of independent owners, small businesses, which you hardly find in Houston. And we were able to double our space and expand what we have. So here we are again and still loving what we do. You know, I don't really know why I decided to work here more full time, and really what the impetus was. The funny thing is, I was in college and a friend of mine turned to me and she said, you know what, I think you'd be a good buyer. And I thought, well, that's random. But truthfully, she was right. I love retail. I just love it. I love the buying part. I have a little left brain. I have a little right brain. I love using my intuition to guide me what to buy. I had no idea what I was doing. I just took myself to markets. My mom would come with me at the beginning, but we just figured it out. And then from there, I've generally mostly done a lot of markets by myself. I did a lot with her. But overall, I love the buying part. I love the merchandising. I just kind of was hooked. I'll be quite honest. I was hooked on retail. I loved working with customers and people. I don't know. Maybe it's just figuring it all out. I also love the subject matter because let's be honest, I want to learn about myself. And you meet fabulous authors, customers that are out there doing so much good and helping people. I mean, really, it's one of the best places to be. I have sort of like a little dream job here, and I love it.